Hello everybody, this is Robin Craig Live. We're talking about empowerment and I'm showing pictures of the possum that I caught just this last Saturday. So I'm showing a picture right now if you're just tuning in. We had a little bit of technical difficulty and I've just now logged back on. But I'm showing pictures of a possum that I caught. This is the fifth possum. I've also caught 4 raccoons and 1 cat, and it's the most empowering thing in the world for me. I feel like there's not too much I can do or that I can't do, I should say, if I'm able to catch wildlife and take it down to the wild. Well, look at this picture. This little guy, his tail went underneath and then it came around and it wrapped around, and just as I took the picture, he stepped on his own tail. But I just thought, you wonder why these guys are able to get in the attic and why they can crawl into small places, because they literally have fingers and they're long and their tails have so much maneuverability. So here's a picture of Cindy. We've now gotten down to the street. This is like all dirt, which is why it looks so bright. And we're walking down. It's like a mile where we have to walk to get to where the trees and the water are. And here's me. I wanted to show you this picture because this is my car. You see how far we've walked to get down to this place, and we're only about halfway there, preparing to let this guy go. And he was a cute little baby one. He was just so cute and adorable. And I thought, Robin, you've come a long way, baby, in order to be able to say that a possum is cute. But he really is cute. So here I am, the proud mama. We're down here at the reservoir, and you see the little possum. So I was thinking he probably wants a drink. So I turned the cage around so that he would be able to go down toward the water. And this was his last picture. He's got that look that says, "Lady, could you just let me go here? Enough of the pictures already." It just is so funny. And they do, I see in the chat room that you guys are saying how the possums are mean, and it's weird because when you startle them or you walk up, they go shh, and their gums come up and you see all their little teeth. It is kind of scary, like a bunch of little sharp teeth. But this little guy didn't really do that too much, but I think it's because he was a lot younger. So he was just happy to be in the cage, and when I let him go, it was amazing. It's really hard to see. You can see from this picture, this is the edge of the cage, and he took off. It's really hard to see him, but he's right around here. It's just like one gray spot because it was getting really dark. And he ran from the cage down to the water, and then he walked parallel to the water and then came back uphill because he decided he felt more comfortable in the trees. And I couldn't believe that I got this last picture because he was running so fast. I was shocked at how fast they can go. And it looks like it's blurred, but it's not. This is just from the movement of a possum that is hauling it uphill to get to the trees. So it's just like such a huge adventure. And I told Cindy, I said, Cindy, we're having fun with this. It used to be kind of scary, like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And now it's fun. So I'm kind of happy to say that I did not get off scot-free from all of the critters. I'm as empowered as I could ever be and thrilled to have 5 possums under my belt. Now, last week, I said I was giving away some beanitos. If you guys have not tried them, these are really great. It's bean and then ITOS. The Chipotle barbecue flavor is really my favorite. They're made from black beans. They are low glycemic. They're not made from corn or potatoes, and they've got protein and omegas in them. So they're really a great little snack. And 2 weeks ago, Julia, who was in the chat room, won a case of them. So Julia, you should be getting those very, very soon. And Shannon, who's in the chat room, won some prior to that. Well, the winner of last week's Benitos is Buck McElroy, who is in Hurst, Texas, which is between Dallas and Fort Worth. So he was a new viewer, and he emailed me, and so we're going to be shipping him a case. Tonight, we're doing the same thing. So if you're interested in winning, and you really want to win these, because I think there's like 24 bags in a case, and I'm going to send a case to the winner. So all you have to do to win is go to my website, robincraigdirect.com. Robin is R-O-B-I-N, Craig is CRAIG direct.com, and just say Benitos. I love Benitos. I love that you're giving me Benitos. Any kind of statement, I don't care what you say. The 10th person to email me is going to get a case of them, and they're great. You're going to love them. Okay, so now on with the show, as we say in TV land. We are going to call Anne Marie. She is in New York, and she has a wonderful story of empowerment to share with everybody. You can order online. I'll address. Hey, Anne Marie, it's Robin Craig, and you're on Robin Craig Live.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing just great. As you know, we're talking about empowerment tonight, and you had something really wonderful that you did right after your husband died that really gave you a huge sense of empowerment, and I would love for you to share that with everybody.
Okay. Let's see. Um, my husband was diagnosed with leukemia on October 20th in 2009, and he died 18 days later due to chemotherapy complications. He was a judge, and he knew his court calendar 1 year in advance. Um, and we love to travel, so because of his career, we were fortunate to be able to plan our travel trips way ahead. When Tim died on November 7th, I certainly wasn't thinking about vacation, but the day after his funeral, it dawned on me that I was scheduled to leave in 16 days for a paid trip to St. Bartholomew on November 29th. So I decided then and there that I would take that trip and every trip that we had planned for that year, plus a few extra, and take his ashes along with me.
I love that.
So I went to St. Bartholomew in the French West Indies. I went to the Pyrenees in France, Rome and Puglia in Italy, Usepa Island, Florida, Bald Head Island, North Carolina, Southwick Beach, Lake Ontario, Salt Lake City, Truro, and Cape Cod in Massachusetts.
Wow.
And most of these places were special places that we enjoyed as a couple. And a few of the extras were family and work related. And I called this process my full circle of healing because it gave me purpose and empowerment to travel extensively in my first year of widowhood. And it was also a way to honor my husband's memory and pay special tribute to him in the ceremony of spreading his ashes wherever I went.
And I have to tell everybody, Anne Marie has a big urn that she keeps her husband's ashes in. And when she travels, she has a travel urn, and she just takes a little bit with her, and she sprinkles his ashes in all of these special places where they've either been or where they had planned on going. So her husband is sprinkled around the world. Isn't that beautiful? I love that so much, Anne Marie. And but you never think, I know I'm looking at the chat room, and Travel Writer says a wonderful story, and that she can just totally envision you in that place. Everybody's saying that's so awesome, Anne Marie. And what I think is so funny is, Anne Marie, you have to, we all know that there are issues with traveling in today's climate. And Anne Marie experienced something that was kind of unique. You have to share that story.
Which story? I'm sorry.
The one about you're going through customs, I guess it was. And
yes. I was in France, and my purse was going through the X-ray, and they said to me, there is a metal tin container in your purse. And I looked at them and I said, oh, I'm sorry, that's my husband. And they were shocked. And they said, well, but it's round. And I said, no, he's in a square
funniest thing you have ever heard. They're cracking up in the chat room. I see nothing but LOL like 100 times. It's just so funny that you immediately think when they're saying you have a little 10, she's like, that's my husband, which that's odd enough to have to say that, but then to have it turn out to be pate, it's a wonder that you got home, that they didn't just lock you up over there. That is so cute and precious. Oh my gosh, that is so delightful. And you know, as we were saying on the phone earlier, Anne Marie, it's hard for most widows to travel alone. It's so comforting to travel with a man and they carry your bags and you feel protected. So to travel alone as a new widow, you feel very vulnerable. So I applaud you, Anne Marie, for continuing the traveling. A lot of people would have canceled, but I think for widows who are watching the show that this is another really great sign of empowerment to say, I'm going to follow through with plans. I don't have to cancel everything because my husband died. And in her case, she came up with something so wonderful, which was taking her husband and sprinkling his ashes everywhere she went. That is such a wonderful testament to your husband and your life together. And now when you travel there, you'll have a sense of really belonging because your husband's there.
Yeah, yeah. And it has been empowering to me. And I'm leaving for St. Bart again in a couple of weeks to do it again.
It's kind of interesting because it's kind of like going to visit your husband in an odd sort of way.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that.
Every time I spread his ashes, something magical always happens. So it'll be. I look forward to it now.
I think it's absolutely fabulous. I love that so much. Emery, thank you so much for sharing. And I just want to touch on the fact, too, that she mentioned in our phone conversation earlier that she felt very empowered by purchasing a car as a widow. And I certainly did, too. That's a weird thing that it's great if you have a man's help for that. If you're a widow and you don't have a man's help, it is very empowering to successfully go purchase a car on your own. So that's another thing that most widows will have to face at some time or another. So thank you for sharing that, Anne Marie. I love you to pieces, girl. That was great.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody's saying thank you so much, and they think it's incredible, and that you're traveling and spreading the ashes gave you purpose, which is another thing that's beautiful to experience as a new widow. It's like, what? Why am I here? What's my purpose? You know?
Yeah.
So.
I am on Facebook. I saw that somebody asked, so friend me, and I'm happy to share.
And you're under your name Anne Marie Higgins, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I also did something for my husband's second anniversary. I had this beautiful bird. It's called the Hawk Walk this year, and a tribute because we love hawks. And I had a show of all these birds in the backyard with family and friends just 2 days ago for my husband's second anniversary, and it's on Facebook. It's really cool.
That is so great. Well, her first name is spelled with an E on it. It's A-N-N-E Marie Higgins, Higgins. So everybody connect with Anne Marie. She is a fabulous gal, and I met her at Camp Widow in San Diego in August, and I love her to pieces. You will too. So we'll keep the dialogue going. Thank you so much for sharing, honey, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Okay, darling. Love you to pieces, too.
All right, girl. Good evening.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Isn't that the most wonderful story? I love that she has a travel urn for her husband's ashes, and she fills it when she travels so she can sprinkle the ashes wherever she goes. What a great way to feel connected and to feel that her husband is with her. I love that. Okay, so now we're calling, she's in New York, we're now calling Oklahoma. We are calling Miss Nyla to see what kind of story she's going to share with us.
Hello, Miss Robin.
Hello, Miss Nyla. You're on Robin Craig Live. Thank you for joining us.
How are you doing this evening, as I can see?
I'm just tickled pink. All my widow friends are in the chat room, and we are having fun. It's a beautiful, beautiful place to be. I'm loving it.
I love Tuesday nights. Tuesday nights are just, it lifts me up for the whole week.
Oh, that is so sweet. I love that you guys say such wonderful things. I think what you just said is so beautiful, and I still remember how cute it was when Ellen, who is also in the chat room, said that watching my show was like a booster shot for her each week. I think that is so sweet and cute, and I appreciate it. Isn't that great? It's so cute and sweet. It's like you don't need a flu shot. Just watch Robin Craig live. You'll get a boost. It's priceless. So it's wonderful. I love it, and we're just literally spread out around the nation. There are people in the chat room right now from Indiana, Kansas, Wichita Falls, Texas, a couple of different cities in California. I'm in Houston, Texas. It's so beautiful that we can connect here, and I appreciate you guys. Okay, so Nyla, you are a very capable woman, and you've done a lot of different things that have empowered you. But what was your one thing that you feel empowered you the most as a widow?
The first one that basically hit me like the brick wall of reality was when I had to sell my house. John and I had this large house. It was an older house, and I had to, in order to sell it, needed to update it. So I took that little role on for a whole year before selling it, and I learned how to do power tools and screwdrivers and saws and dug up tree stumps and all these things that would have been his job. Well, I knew that he would just, take it on because I had my other things that I had to do, and he was the strong man of the family. That all of a sudden I was faced with this, and because I'm not financially wealthy, I'm okay, but not wealthy, I couldn't afford to pay someone else to do all these things. And so I had to step back and think, how on earth am I going to do this? I can't do this by myself. I just can't. Well, I do have a brother and brother-in-law and son-in-laws who helped when they could, but I didn't want to put that burden on them. So I took it on, just pulled up my boots, as they say in the South, and got after it. And what I didn't know, I learned how to do. And after it was all said and done, I felt so capable, so proud of myself. And I know you're not supposed to feel pride, but at the same time, I felt like John was cheering me on from heaven, going, you can do this. No more girly whining, no more crying, just get after it. You can do it.
Yes, and Nyla, you bring up a very valid point, which is, of course we cry, and of course we feel pitiful, and of course we feel sad, and we just feel, I kept saying as a new widow, I just don't know what I'm going to do. Everybody that came face to face with me, I would say, I just don't know what I'm going to do, and I truly didn't know. But when you reach that point that you reached, which is, there's a job that needs to be done, there is nobody here but me to do it, and you get that mindset, it's amazing at what can be done. I'm impressed that you could do the power tools. That's like a huge undertaking for most women.
Well, this last summer, I got the house all updated and sold it top dollar, I might add, thank God.
Yay!
And took the proceeds from it and even traversed the dark path of going through a realtor and selling my house and buying a new house and all that fun stuff that for 34 years it was John and I together.
Yes.
And we would talk over issues and what about this and what about that, and all of a sudden it was all on my plate.
Yes.
And I had to make those decisions myself. And yeah, there was many nights that I would just cry myself to sleep. What am I doing?
Yes.
Am I doing the right thing? But I knew I couldn't keep a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house for one person. It was too much to keep up.
Yes. Yes.
And not to mention the utilities and everything. And I could pay it off, but I still had the upkeep to do.
Yes.
And I didn't need that much. And even though I didn't want to sell our home, I knew that's what I needed to do. And I had to back up and say, okay, John couldn't take it with him. It's just things. I'm not going to take it with me.
Yes.
The memories are still with me and will always be with me. And I can do this.
Yes.
I am
And you said another key word is having that grit. That's something that you have to muster up. And how you're talking, where you're saying, I can do this, I can do it, that's exactly what I was doing with my wildlife. Because at first, as I keep telling everybody, when I caught the first possum, I kept saying, oh, there's just no way. I'm not even going near the cage. That thing is ugly and it's scary, and there's no way I'm going to touch the cage even. And then I reached a point when there was nobody to come to catch the next one and take it away from me. I thought, okay, I can do this. You can do it, Robin. And I think that all of us will probably be able to testify to the fact that when we say, I can do it, you go girl, you get after it, and you cheer yourself on, we really are able to do anything.
Well, I found a way that when I was able to accomplish the little things to start with, of course, I didn't jump 4 feet in by myself on the big projects,
Yes.
but the little things to start with, and then I would graduate up and go, okay, Nyla, you can. And what I didn't know, I would get help, and I wasn't too proud to ask for help.
Yes.
Now, I'm a widow of 3 years last August the 8th. The first year and a half, I honestly don't remember anything. I can't tell you much of what I did. I was in what I call the deep. I was in the deep depression.
Yes.
And I couldn't do anything but go to work and come home, go to work and come home, and go to bed every single night by 6 o'clock. And finally, it just dawned on me, and through talking to John out loud, as I know all of us do to our loved ones, I basically felt him telling me, I don't want you to be like this forever. I wanted you to warn me, of course, because to know that I'm loved, but you cannot stay this way. You have to go on living. You have things that need to be done, and you can't just stay in bed. You can't do it.
Yes.
You have to get up and you have to do things.
Yes.
I made myself get out amongst people. I did the house thing, bought myself a little house. Little house has things that needed to be done. This last summer, the entire backyard had to be replaced. 24 panels of stocking fencing. Again, could not hire someone to do it, could not afford it. I did have one male friend help me, and we tore down 24 panels. We tore out 19 posts, redug holes, dug up tree stumps, and replaced all 24 in 10 hours.
God, that is so impressive to dig up tree stumps. I've done that with my husband before, and that's really hard work. And to have all that fencing, I mean, you're like amazing. But once again, I'm doing the show tonight because when you are widowed, you do not feel powerful at all. You feel like there's so much you don't know how to do and so many things that you're not capable of doing. But as we continue to hear with that mindset and the determination of I'm going to do it, we're moving mountains over here. Well, Nyla, I've got 2 more phone calls, honey. I thank you for sharing that. And I also wanted to reiterate what you also had said earlier, which is when somebody says you can't, you show them now that you can. And that's a great, great attitude to have.
That's the way I felt now. Now that I know I can, when someone says, you can't do that, you're just a woman. Back up, watch me.
Back up and watch me. That's exact. What's that song? I'm a tiger, hear me roar.
I think it's I am a woman, hear me roar.
Yeah, one of them, somebody, but roar like a lion, you know. But that's how we feel. We're powerful, but sometimes we have to fight for that power. And when we do, we achieve it, and it's a great place to be. So, honey, thank you so much for sharing your fabulous story. And we'll keep the dialogue going in the chat room. I see that everyone is cheering you on, and I'm excited. Donita, I'm glad to see you too, honey. Thank you for joining us. Everybody is saying, great job, Nyla. We are woman. Hear me roar. That
I
is,
love all of you guys.
that's so beautiful. Love you, girl.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Can you imagine that Nyla dug up stumps and did fencing and did repairs and learned how to do power tools? It's so beautiful. I absolutely love that. And you can do it too. If you're watching the show and maybe you're a little bit newer at this widowhood thing and you're thinking, oh, there's so much I can't do, you got to have that can-do attitude and you too can move mountains. All right, so now we are calling Sharon in California, and a lot of you guys know her. She has the Never Alone International. She's the founder of it, and is just a sweetheart, like myself and like a number of us, working to give back to the widowed. So we're going to see what she says. Hello, Sharon. How are you?
I am absolutely fabulous. I'm so excited to be listening to your show. Oh
Well,
my gosh,
I'm just,
wonderful.
thank you. I'm so delighted that you could join us tonight. And I know there's so many things that I want to talk about. Of course, I'm having to watch the clock, which is my job. But I would like to have you share the most wonderful thing that happened with you that gave you the most empowerment in your widowhood.
Well, I think the first most important thing was after 8 weeks. I went forward in my church because my daughter and I were going on a trip and asked for prayer. And the pastor anointed me into my ministry. And I thought, I don't have a ministry. But that very next week, when my daughter and I were on a cruise ship, I was impressed to start a group called Never Alone for widows and widowers traveling or not. And I felt like this was a direct order from God. It was just a little scary because He gave me the vision of it being worldwide someday, where there would be friendship groups in every major city all over the world, so that heaven forbid when people become widowed, there is a friendship group to help them through that first year. So I've kind of been through a process of that, with on AARP and then on Facebook, and then finally my dream's been coming true this year, and I'm 2.5 years a widow, and I've started the first local group here in Orange County, and we have over 60 members, and then last month I started a Riverside County group, and we have over 30 members here. And then I started a Laguna Niguel Oceanside group, and we already have 40 members there, and we haven't even had our first meeting yet. We have that one November 19th. So every time these widows and widowers get connected to each other, it just thrills my heart, because then they start making friends with each other, and they can call each other, go out for coffee locally. They can say, hey, you want to go to the movies, and they can all get together. So that is so exciting. And I think one of the very first times that I ever did something really empowering was the very first year when I went to Camp Widow. And I lived in Vegas at the time, and I drove all the way from Vegas to San Diego by myself with my GPS.
Wow.
And it was like,
Wow. So first of all, one thing that is so important in this whole widowhood empowerment or widowerhood empowerment is listening to your inner voice. And this was a great conversation that Sharon and I had on the phone earlier, because she, as she says, I was ordered by God to start a group for the widows and the widowers. And we talked a little bit about that because I felt that I had the divine guidance as well, only I tried to fight it. When I had my premonition that I heard my voice say as my body jolted forward, I have to help the widows, I immediately had a 5-minute conversation with myself going, why am I worried about the widows? I don't know which end is up. I don't know where I am financially. I don't have a clue what I'm going to do. And I tried to talk myself out of that intense feeling, but it didn't go away. It kept gnawing at me, and I kept thinking,
yeah,
the widows, the widows. And so I think one important thing for us to pay attention to tonight is that inner voice, because I truly believe it's divine guidance. Obviously, Sharon does too. And when something doesn't feel right, but you've got that strong impulse, I think it's important to go with it, because when you look backwards, you can see how you've been led to this beautiful place, but you couldn't see it then. So Sharon, that's wonderful that you started Never Alone International, and most of the people in the chat room and a lot of our viewers are on Facebook. So you can find Sharon under Sharon Newton, Newton, and you can look up Never Alone International and be part of our group. And I know that we've got some people who are in California who are watching the show tonight, and it would be wonderful for you to participate in some of the groups that Sharon has going. So Sharon, when you really started this up, you were on a cruise.
Yes, yes. And I was actually walking inside the ship beside this long bar. And all of a sudden, I heard the voice, and I've been a Christian about 35 years, so I know the voice of God. I hear it very rarely in a direction, but all of a sudden he said, there's an order of Bloody Mary. But I don't drink Bloody Mary. I kept walking, and I heard this voice again very strongly. It's down an order of Bloody Mary. So I was Lieutenant Colonel in the Army, so I learned to obey early. So I sat down and I ordered a Bloody Mary, and then all of a sudden the guy that took my order disappeared. So I looked over to my left, a couple of feet over, and there was this beautiful young lady, looked very, very sad. And she said, where did he go? And she said, I don't know, but he took my cruise card. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, we got to be wonderful friends. She was a 2-year-old widow, widow 2 years, and she was just tough. She was from Canada, and I had a meeting on the ship for Never Alone International, for Never Alone. She was the first one that came to join, and she's from Canada. We had to make it international. And she's happily married now, doing great.
And I think it's hilarious because her divine voice that she heard said, order a Bloody Mary. I think that's hilarious. And especially because she doesn't drink them. But by stopping off, she meets this wonderful widow, and it was just all part of her plan to start this widow and widower organization, which she has now successfully done. I'm so proud of you for that, Sharon. It's absolutely beautiful.
So, well, thank you so much. And something else I forgot to mention is that my local groups are actually on www.meetup.com. They are a meetup group. So if people haven't been on Meetup yet, that's where they will find it. If they'll just go in and under the search, just put widower, widower, and my group will come up.
Okay, that's excellent. I see Widow's Ring is with us. Thank you for joining us. I'm so excited that everybody is joining the chat room. It makes it so much more fun. And Nyla has actually put up neveraloneinternational.com in the chat room for everybody to see. So you definitely want to check her out. Now, I know I've still got one more person to call, but I have to have you share the incident about the man that you were going to go out with. We all know that one of the worst things for widows and widowers is to combat the loneliness. You know, most of us, I would say all of us, were not intended to be loners, or we would have never married. But then when you find yourself alone, you think, well, what do I do with myself? Well, Sharon decided that she was ready to start dating, and she began talking to this man. Tell everybody your experience.
Well, I met this guy at a Parents Without Partners dance outside, and we seemed to hit it off really, really well. And then we talked for 3 or 4 nights before we were going to go on our first date. And then after about 4 or 5 conversations during the week, I realized that every single time he said something about my group, Never Alone International, it was always derogatory, or it was always something to discourage me. It was always like, oh, you're not going to want to do that for long, or oh, that's going to stress you out. That's going to take up too much of your time. And I love the group. I'm energized by working with groups. It's my mission, my goal in life.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
suddenly realized, oh my gosh, this guy is trying to stop me from fulfilling my mission. So I had to just tell him, you're a really nice guy, but you're going in one direction and I'm going in the other, so I won't go out with you after all, but we'll just be friends.
And
So
I
that's
love
my
that.
decision.
I love that because we have to be firm in our convictions. And Sharon knows that her mission is to help the widowed. So when she meets this guy who seemed like he was going to be a good date until they kept talking and he was just not supportive of the work that she's doing, she was bold enough to say, I don't want to go out with you. And I admire you so much for doing that, Sharon, because all of us have to work hard at creating a new life, and we all want it to be a great life. And the most important thing is to be with someone who supports what you have going. So kudos to you for telling this man, I'm not going out with you, because I got a feeling there's somebody around the corner that's there to take his place.
Oh, and thank you. And the thing that Nyla put up is actually my old website that I never use
Oh,
anymore.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, that was one of, after AARP. So actually, I'm just on Facebook, and then the active one is on Meetup.com. You just put widows, and that'll get you the local Never Alone International.
Okay, I see it now. Meetup.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Go into that, and there's three California groups: the Riverside Group, County Group, the Laguna Niguel, Oceanside Group, and then Orange and LA County. And we would love to have you come join us.
Well, and Donita is asking, what is Meetup.com? Can you tell us?
Okay, Meetup is any type of group that people want to start, like people who want to go hiking, people who want to go kayaking, different people start all kinds of meetup groups. And once I learned about Meetup a year ago, I realized that's the perfect vehicle for a local group for mine.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah, so we just post events, and then people in our group can RSVP, and they can show up, meet each other. My group goes out to movies, go to dinner, we go to shows, theater, we go to all kinds of cultural events, kind of whatever they're supposed to do.
That's excellent. Okay, so Sharon Newton, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for sharing your story, and congratulations on Never Alone International and all the wonderful things you're doing. You're a sweetheart, and like I said, I know there's a great guy that's looking for you. All you got to do is connect.
Thank you so much. I'll be a regular listener for sure.
Thank you, Sugar. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Have a good evening. All right. Isn't she just great? I tell you, it's wonderful to talk to all of these widows and to hear all of the different things that have happened that caused the empowerment, because it's very challenging as a widow, and we can shrink, we can become wallflowers, we can just stay home and say life sucks, who cares, forget about it, or we can struggle and we can overcome our fears, and we can take that I can do it attitude that Nyla had when she learned how to work power tools and handle home repairs on her own, because we really and truly are powerful. And it's exciting to hear all of the different things that people have done. Anne Marie traveling, right after she lost her husband. All of that is so unbelievably huge. It's fabulous. Okay, so now we're going to call Rhonda. Rhonda is in the chat room, but she'll share some fabulous stories with us too.
Hello.
Hello, Miss Rhonda. You're on Robin Craig Live. How are you?
Great, Robin. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely loud and clear. So
Thank you so much.
you've been through an awful lot, and just to briefly summarize, Rhonda lost her husband and her daughter, both with different cancers, just months apart, and that's hard for any of us to imagine. And her husband died first, and she immediately left the funeral and went to tend to her daughter. And the most wonderful thing happened. Her daughter was in hospice, and I will let you share your wonderful story of empowerment with everybody.
Thank you, Robin. Yes, I would like to say, earlier this evening when people were talking about their purpose in life, and after my husband passed away and I left his funeral to go take care of my daughter Sherry, that was my purpose in life at that time. And since her passing, I have found a higher purpose, and that is through writing. But when she signed up for hospice, it was 9 months after my husband had passed away, and I was massaging her feet one day, and she looked at me and she says, "Mom," she says, "you really need to get a life." And I was like, "What are you talking about? This is my life." And but she knew me so well. She knew that I was lonely. She knew that I was grieving. Um, she knew that she was dying, and I um, didn't know what to say to her. I just said, Sherry, this is my life, and she says, Mom, I really would like it if you'd go on a dating website. And I thought about it, and I was I explored some on the internet, and I went on eHarmony, and I started filling out a profile, but I couldn't finish it. And the next morning, I went downstairs, and I told her that I decided to do that, and she was so happy. And I said, I don't even know how to answer these questions. And so she helped me fill it out, and we were supposed to upload a photo, and I didn't have any photos of just myself alone. My husband was in all my photos, and so she took a photo of me, and um, the last question on the profile was, what else would you like to say about yourself, or what should that potential person know? And I just sat there, and Sherry sat there quietly, and I just thought, oh my gosh, this isn't fair to anyone. I'm not going to go out and date. He's not going to, I can't leave her. And so then it came to me, though, at that moment, I thought maybe I could meet someone. I could meet Sherry before she dies, so they would be able to comfort me and understand what I was going through. And it just came from my fingertips onto the keyboard. I wrote it. I read it to Sherry, and she says, Mom, that's perfect. And I hit submit.
So first of all, to just kind of summarize, when you lose your husband, it's kind of hard to think about dating, and especially when you've got a daughter who is terminally ill with cancer as well. I think it's so beautiful that your daughter cared about you and your future, and in her moment, she was able to look toward your life and to say, Mom, I want you to have a life. I want you to date. I want you to meet someone. And like any new widow with a daughter who is ill, I would think it would be very difficult to think, well, let me just forget about what's happening and just date like everything's normal. But I think it's so beautiful because Rhonda's daughter nudged her to move forward with this. And Rhonda felt compelled to go with what her daughter's wishes were. And she branched out. Her daughter takes the picture. Her daughter helps with the profile. And next thing you know, Rhonda's online. And then tell everybody what happened.
Well, you're absolutely right, Robin. I would not have done this without Sherry being there. That was the whole key to it, that she didn't want me to be alone. And she, if I hadn't have done it without her being by my side, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yes.
I don't believe that I would have been. I think emotionally I would have been so down that I wouldn't have been able to do it.
No, because you're trying to absorb that you've lost your husband. You're also trying to absorb that you most likely will lose your daughter, and you think, how in the heck does dating fit in with that? But because it was your daughter's kind of dying wish in a way to see you move forward with your own life in a positive way, she pushed you, and it just felt like from your standpoint that you needed to grant that. So you were brave. She gave you courage. You get out there, you got your hot picture, you got your profile, and next thing you know, you meet somebody.
Yes, 3 weeks later I got a match. Larry, 52, from San Marcos. Well, San Marcos is 5 miles from where I live. And he was a widower, and he had a long-term marriage, and it took about a week before I actually initiated any communication with him. And once we started communicating and talking on the phone, well, the perfect thing about it was he was traveling around the country just trying to figure out what he was going to do anyone anyway. But I just really wanted someone to talk to on the phone.
And
And so,
Larry was a widower, so you had that in common.
yes,
And you're
yes,
both kind of looking to find your way in your various capacities.
yes, yes. And so we had a phone relationship, and we got to know each other really well. I would go out and walk Sherry's dogs every evening, so that's when I would talk to him. He was traveling, so he had, a lot of free time, and we were such a big support. And when I would come back into the house, Sherry could just see I was beaming because it felt so good to be able to talk to someone, a man who understood what I was,
Yes.
the loneliness that I was feeling.
Yes.
And but Sherry started getting sicker and sicker, and um, Larry was still traveling, and he wasn't supposed to be back for about another month. And he offered to fly back, and so he could meet Sherry. And so he did, and he met me, he met Sherry, and it was wonderful. It was a wonderful meeting, and
And just your story right off the bat is helping people. Julia's saying that her own daughter is encouraging her to find somebody, and and Julia, I didn't know that Julia had a stillborn child. I'm so sorry. On this show, we find out so much about each other, and we find out there's a lot more loss than what we even ever dreamt of. And so, Julia, my goodness, honey, I never even know that. I'm so sorry about that. But she says that she can't even imagine, and no mother can imagine losing a child. And to
no,
think about losing a child and dating and have all that coincide is hard to do, but you had the right idea, which is, what if I meet a man and he has a chance to meet my daughter while she's living? How special that would be. And by having the courage to move forward, she met a wonderful man in June of 2009. They are still together over 2 years. And he is a widower, so he totally gets what she has gone through, and he met her precious Sherry. Is that not the greatest story in the world? I love that. I know Travel Writer says, I'm so happy you were able to meet someone who could support you. And Nyla says, Larry sounds like a very special man. You're blessed, Rhonda. Shannon says, I'm speechless. Um, Ellen says, that's awesome. Everybody is just loving hearing your story. It's so empowering. And then you mentioned that you were journaling along the way and as your husband was sick. And what happened that made you realize, okay, I'm supposed to be doing some writing?
well, I have a lot of good stories to tell about my life, and I had started writing. Writing is such has been so empowering for me because I'm writing two memoirs right now, and one about my childhood and one about my process of losing my husband and my daughter and meeting Larry and that whole story and how it unfolds. And so that's what I do, and writing has helped me tremendously through my grieving process. I was just published this month in the Guidepost magazine, and it's a story about uh, what I just told you. And I've gotten so many nice responses from people, and that is my higher purpose in life, is to share hope and inspiration with people in all the different ways that I can. And I didn't ever realize it until it all started to unfold, and meeting Larry and him coming into my life has just been such a blessing.
And first of all, congratulations on having a published article in Guidepost. That's like huge. And especially, that's huge for anybody, but especially a woman that never thought of herself as a writer. And that's
Yes,
another thing that a lot of widows, I think, are sort of grappling with, a feeling or a sense of, I should be writing, but then that's followed by another sense of, I'm inadequate. I'm not really a writer per se. But in your
right.
case, you followed your feeling of, I need to write. And then now things are taking off. You're writing a book and you've already got a published article. And I can tell by the way that you speak that it's a cleansing healing process for you, which is very, very important.
Absolutely.
So just
Absolutely. I've got so many blessings to share.
yes, and so I want to encourage everybody to follow those instincts. If something is saying, I need to be writing, then start writing and do just what Rhonda did. Just start with it. And if somebody is encouraging you to date and maybe you're a little bit fearful, let them encourage you. Let them be the wind beneath your wings to put yourself out there, because in the end, you are in control. You don't have to talk to anyone you don't want to talk to, and you don't have to go out with anyone that you don't want to go out to. But you might be blessed, as Rhonda was, and find a really great guy. So, Rhonda, honey, I'm so glad to know you. I'm so glad that you were able to share with us, and I hope that I'll be able to have you come back.
Thank you so much, Robin. I appreciate it, and thank you all for listening.
Yes, you're excellent, honey. My heart goes out to you and everybody that's been on the show and everybody that's watching the show. But we're a lot tougher than we think we are, and there's a huge group of us that really understands what we're dealing with, and that alone is very comforting and very empowering.
Yes,
So
it is.
yes, everybody in the chat room is saying thank you and love it, Rhonda, and can't wait to read the book, and just what a big blessing. Yes, yes, and I'm delighted. It's an honor for me to do this work and to have you guys sharing it. So thank you so much, Rhonda. I appreciate your information so much.
Thank you, Robin.
All right, girl, you have a good evening.
All right, talk to you soon.
All righty, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, I tell you, if you guys have been watching the show for a while, you remember I've been writing a blog for the Houston Chronicle called Today's Widow. I haven't written lately. I'm just so inundated with so many things that I've been able to tell myself it's okay to take a break from some of the stuff. You don't need to kill yourself over it. So I haven't written anything lately, but at one point I wrote an article about me flipping my extra thick pillow top king size mattress by myself. And I'm telling you, that thing is heavy. And I had done it twice, and I wrote a blog called Mind Over Mattress. And I explained that how I would have to like push up the mattress with two hands, and then I would try to hold on to it with one hand while I'm holding on to the headboard and jumping up on top. And I mean, that is really a difficult task. Well, when I wrote the blog about it, I wrote that once I got up, my cat appeared out of nowhere, and she jumps up and she got right in the crack where the mattress was and the box springs. It's like this, and she's right in the crack. And I thought, if I lean it over, I will crush my cat. And of course, I'm yelling and everything else. And she thought it was just great fun. She was not responding at all. And so I managed to hold the mattress with one hand and my hip while reaching down to shove her out of the way. So I wrote about this whole experience and how crazy it was. And there was a guy named Tex who responded, and he didn't believe my story. So I copied what he had written. Let me see if I can find it here. He says, I question your mind over mattress article. First, most modern pillow top mattresses do not require flipping. Second, flipping any king size mattress requires two people. Third, you held the mattress with one hand while moving your cat. Fourth, you jumped on the bed while holding the mattress up. Fifth, you wrote, I walked one end of the mattress toward me at an angle so I could step around it, and then I used my feet to straighten out the dust ruffle. This I would like to witness, he says. While I have no proof, in my opinion, you did not flip a king-size mattress alone. However, you did write a funny story. Well, I had to appreciate what he wrote, because it is hard to believe that a woman is going to flip. I mean, I don't even know a lot of guys that can flip a king-size mattress by themselves. So I wrote back, my dear Tex, I admit that if you don't know me, it's difficult to imagine that I, or any other female for that matter, could or would be motivated to flip a king-size mattress on her own. Let me assure you, however, that creating such a story would serve absolutely no purpose whatsoever. If I do decide to write fiction, I'll be sure to tell everybody. Whether a manufacturer requires flipping a mattress or not, when you can see and feel your body's impression in your mattress, it's time to flip it. My mattress is very thick and it doesn't collapse or fold in half, so holding it with one hand and my hip for a brief moment was absolutely possible. I may have also had a bit of adrenaline which helped, because I surely did not want to crush my best furry little friend who appeared out of nowhere. And then I wrote, "This is the second time I have flipped my mattress, and unless you are volunteering to assist me, there may be a third time." Well, another widow came to my aid, and I love it because we widows stick together. It is such a beautiful place to be. And this lady chimed in. She was very upset with Tex not believing I had done what I said I did. And she goes, "Dear Tex, never underestimate the power of a woman, especially a woman who has found herself in the very unfavorable position of being a widow. Widows and widowers are capable of performing amazing feats that most mankind would never imagine possible. Whether it's a matter of proving to oneself that we can do it or proving to others that we can do it really doesn't matter. What matters is that it, whatever it may be, gets done with grace and style or any variation thereof. I think everybody should challenge yourself to do something that others may think is impossible or against the quote unquote manufacturer's recommendations just for the heck of it. What a feeling of empowerment it provides. So go ahead, Tex. Go against the rules. Rally against the man and fight the oppression. Go remove the tag on your mattress that says, "Do not remove," under penalty of law, and then stuff it. I had to crack up. Is this lady hilarious? I loved her for doing that because she was basically saying, we're doing all kinds of stuff. We don't know what we're doing. We had no idea that we can do all of the things that we do. But it's mind over matter, or in that case, mind over mattress. So I just want to say that, Tex, honey, if you are watching, I just flipped my mattress for the third time by myself this week. And it was really, really hard. I tried like 3 times before I actually got the mattress up. As soon as I would lift it and I would raise it up, I'd be like, oh no, this is too heavy. And I would let it go. And on the third try, I'm like, I really needed to prove to myself that I could still do it. It was just last April. It's only been, less than a year and a half since I did it. But I wanted to be able to say, Tex, I did it again. And I did. But it's what we were talking about earlier. I'm talking to myself and I'm chanting, "Come on, girl. You can do it, Robin. You've done it twice before. You can get it. Come on, get your steam up." And next thing you know, I did it. And it was crazy because even a mattress standing up on its side, I thought if it goes the wrong way, I could just tear up like 10 things. But I kept focusing. You can do it. You can do it. And yes, the perspiration was beating up on my forehead, but I did it. And I feel so empowered. It's not like a big deal to do it other than the fact that people think you can't. And when you've been widowed and everybody thinks, oh, the poor widow, and it kind of is the poor widow in some ways, but we're not powerless. We have a lot of power and we have control. We just have to get our mind in the right place that says, this is what I'm going to do, and then the rest of it follows suit. So I know you guys are cracking up. I see you cracking up. Thank you for cheering me on in the chat room. And you're saying, it is a big deal. And Rhonda says she's done it. Oh, well, good for you. Yeah, it's really hard to do. But when you're by yourself, there are not 50 people sitting around wondering what the poor widow needs and ready to dash over. And I called my neighbor Cindy, and when she wasn't there, I thought, Robin, just do it, girl. And I did do it. So Tex, honey, if you're out there, beware, because you got a bunch of strong women watching this show, and we're all over it. So I love you guys so much. I see Ellen flipped her queen size. Okay. So, a lot of us are doing the same things. It's across the board. So my goal for the show tonight is for anybody watching who is in that phase of feeling weak and confused and I don't know how to do things and I'm incapable, to just share the stories tonight with everybody and talk about them, because it's amazing to think about what the 4 women who were kind enough to share their stories tonight have gone through, and how courage and determination allowed them to do so much more than they ever thought possible. So I love you guys. Our time has run out. I thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you'll join me every Tuesday for Robin Craig Live at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. if you're out on the West Coast. I'm going to hang out around for just a moment in the chat room, which is customary, and it's a perfect opportunity for all of us to catch up and to see what's happening around the country. So I love you guys so much. My heart is with you. My thoughts are with you. I pray for you every single day, and in the end, we're all going to be okay. We just have to be strong and determined, and we have to have that can-do attitude. Have a great, great week, and connect with me on Facebook under Robin Craig. I'm also on Twitter under Robin_Craig. And remember to go to robincraigdirect.com and send me a quick email using the word Beanitos, and you might be the winner who I will announce next week as receiving a case of Beanitos. Okay, guys.